You end up playing 15 years of Major League Baseball. Did when you're a little kid growing up in Peoria and even when you're at Northwestern, did you see yourself being a major league player? Was that always your goal and aspiration?
Well, I think every kid did, right? I
Yeah,
mean, that was the
sure.
thing. But in 3rd grade, I wrote an essay that I was going to play for the Chicago Cubs. And that's who I got drafted by, and I actually made it to the big leagues with, which was a huge thrill for me. And growing up, my father used to take us to like 4 or 5 games a year. And my favorite 2 players were Ron Santo and Jose Cardinal. Now, for different reasons. Ron Santo, because he had Ron Santo pizza in the stands. And it was, at that age, I thought it was great. And Jose Cardinal, was dark complected, had an afro, played center field. My Aunt Connie, we used to think, and I was only 5 years old when I came up with this theory, that Aunt Connie looked like Jose Cardinal because my aunt was always in the sun, dark complected, big hair, right?
That's so
And
good.
and I always knew that I wanted to play baseball. I loved it, but and as I said, football was my first love, but I knew I really didn't have a chance because I wasn't big enough. I was a quarterback that really couldn't throw, so I really wasn't going to do much in football. And I always practiced and practiced. I played 100 games a summer since the time I was like a sophomore in high school. I would play
Wow.
as much as I could, and then I would go to football practice after I played because I wanted to make it.
Yeah. How big of the jump was it from playing in college baseball in the Big Ten to first all minor league system and then the majors?
It's a big jump. Each step is a big jump, and I
Yeah.
think as they reduce the number of teams, the jump isn't quite as big as it was because guys used to stay in the minors longer.
Yeah.
But it was big, and you get humbled. Um, I remember my first or second game. Pete McCann was my manager. He ended up managing in the big leagues. Loved Pete, but he tore me up and down because I dropped a collision play at home plate. And he was telling me, this isn't no college ball. You got to hold on to that ball. And Pete McCannon, I love him to this day. He was one of the funniest people I ever played for. I played for him in winter ball. I played. He was the guy that called me when I got called up the second time. But it was a big jump, and it's not so much that you don't see the talent in college, but you don't see it every day. You don't see a starting pitcher like that
Right.
every day. You don't
Right.
see
Right.
5 or 6 relievers like that opposed to 1,
Yeah.
and that's the biggest difference.
Yeah. What made those Yankee teams you won 3 World Series with the Yankees in the '90s? What made them special?
We were talented, number 1, and number 2, I think there was just a burning desire for so many of the players to be great. A lot of players want to be great, but they aren't willing to do what it takes to be great. And they don't necessarily want to handle the pressure that it takes to be great. But those guys did, and they fed off of each other extremely well. They were non selfish. But I think probably the most important thing is we were accountable to each other. We held each other accountable. We didn't expect the manager to do it. We did it. And if a guy wasn't doing his job, we weren't afraid to tell him. And if I wasn't doing my job, I wanted someone to tell me. And I think that's what made those teams so great.
Yeah, I was fortunate to be on 3 Super Bowl teams in the '90s with the Cowboys, and I always tell people that if I heard Jimmy Johnson say it once, I heard him say it 1,000 times. When we win, there'll be spoils for everybody.
Yes.
Don't worry about your yards, don't worry about your catches, don't worry about your sacks. When we win, everybody's gonna benefit from this. Coordinators will be head coaches, that happened. Assistant coaches are gonna be coordinators, that happened. If you're a starter, you're gonna be a pro bowler. Everybody's gonna make more money. And not only now, but throughout the rest of your life because you're part of a championship team. Do you feel like you guys had that same mentality?
For sure. One of the things that Joe Torre always said, and it's always stuck with me, is numbers don't matter when you win. Numbers only matter when you lose. Because if you win, you're always remembered and things always work out for you. And that was the case, right? I mean, a guy didn't care if he was 1 for 17 in the playoffs, but that one hit was a big hit and it didn't matter. And when you look at the totality of it, it didn't look like he had a good series. But we won and you're a hero. Like I still do things that people talk about today that happened a long 30 years ago. And they remember it better than I do.
Yeah, yeah.
because my mother grew up on a farm. She was the youngest of 15. And what my aunts and uncles
15.
and yeah, cousins
Wow.
made me realize is that baseball is a soap opera. And every day they would wait to get into the fields until the game was on and they could listen on their radio because it was a different story every day and it was
Yeah.
suspenseful like a soap opera. And that was something that I realized, but that's the way the game is. And don't worry about your numbers. If you win, we were all happy and we all benefited from, till this day, I still benefit from it.